This week, we finally got some actual sales data, or at least some relevant numbers in terms of the Sony and Microsoft consoles that are currently selling this generation, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Sony came out to say that they had sold 10 million PS5s, which is a record for this amount of time in a console's lifespan. Not just PlayStation consoles, but any console in history. This is an all-time record to hit that mark, I believe. And then Xbox, they have not given out actual Xbox sales numbers for a number of years now, and yet they boasted about dramatic increases for hardware sales, and they have said that the Xbox X and S are the highest or fastest selling Xboxes of all time in Xbox history. Estimates from third parties put Xbox sales at between 6 and 7 million, so under Sony, but maybe not quite as bad as the 2-to-1 margin last generation. But the point is both of these have set their own records, in addition to Sony setting kind of worldwide records for this. And this really flies in the face of a lot of talk before this that, the idea of dedicated console generations and dedicated video game consoles was winding down, and yet here we are with them more popular than ever. So why is this happening? Why is there not some sort of shift away from video game consoles to different places you can play games, like was predicted? Everyone was saying the rise of mobile, the rise of VR, the rise of streaming and stuff would kind of eclipse video game consoles, and yet the opposite has happened, where consoles are surging, and these other categories are either struggling or are entirely separate markets. In terms of mobile, mobile is an exploding market. It is hugely successful and still growing, and any publisher is wise to be invested in mobile at this point and have a mobile arm. And that's where a company like Activision, publisher of Call of Duty, makes a ton of money with the kind of mobile games that they own and operate in addition to that. That said, mobile is still a dramatically different experience than console gaming or PC gaming. Where just you don't see the same kind of level and depth of games on the mobile platform outside of some games that have mobile versions of them. So in order to play these kinds of dedicated ultra high quality games, you still need a video game console for the most part. The same is true of VR, where you have unique VR experiences, but that technology has not taken off in anything approaching kind of widespread adoption. There are, millions of VR headset sales, and yet the library of games that VR offers is dramatically different than the console library. There are less games, and there are not really as many high-profile games as we see in the traditional console market. So VR has really posed no threat to traditional consoles at all. Finally, we can get to game streaming, where even a company like Microsoft has started to invest heavily in game streaming, where at the very least you can download your games to something that has a hard drive, potentially a mobile device at times, but otherwise a lot of the time you can just stream through Xbox cloud streaming, where it will not actually need to use your hardware. It will stream from an outside source, and we have seen the rise of other companies, tech giants, attempting to do this, like with Google Stadia and Amazon Luna. This is also something that has not really taken off. Amazon and Google have struggled because they do not really have any unique offerings to put out on these services. They are just kind of scraping up the remnants of third-party publishers that they're working with, and their models are sort of questionable, where Stadia is making you buy individual games to stream on the cloud, whereas Microsoft just has Xbox Game Pass, and many games can be cloud streamed from there. But even that is more presented as like an alternative to your console, rather than something that you're going to replace your console with. So like if you're on vacation, if you're traveling or something, you can use cloud streaming, but if the majority of your game time is spent at home, you are probably going to shell out a couple $100 for a console still, given that it will be, there are still issues with latency and, often streaming quality, and especially here in the US, you just don't always have the best internet. Like, it's just not really a guarantee that your internet service will be enough to adequately support game streaming, even as the tech evolves. So pretty much between the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox Series X and S, and the PS5, there is nothing to rival these three in the gaming space other than the concept of PC gaming, which is just kind of this eternal presence that is also never going away. This is going to be a massively successful generation. We are going to see continuous records broken for sales as the gaming population gets older, and older gaming players are not dropping out of gaming. They are continuing to game, and then their kids are gaming, or even their grandkids are gaming. It is something that is constantly expanding, and that is going to result in an increase in console sales. And we are not going to be done with dedicated video game consoles anytime in the near future. I don't even think by next generation or potentially even the generation after that. Video game consoles are in a very strong place, and rumors of their demise have been greatly exaggerated.